G'day guys, MFWest here, and we are back with some more M+. And today we're doing a 15 Kings in time, and it's actually the last of the dungeons that I required a level 15 key done to get my Keystone Master, which is great. So just a quick and short intro before we get straight into the video. Now, because the affixes this week are Tyrannical, Necrotic, and Bursting, Kings in general, there isn't really much you can do in terms of AoE. The second boss room, there's a lot of blobs where you can mass pull them in together and destroy. So I don't recommend ever really taking all serve in keys in general. Infected Claws is much better at building Festamite stacks and just doing cleave damage in general. So never go all serve. So this is the talent setup that I'm running for this Tyrannical week. Now, I recommend running this for dungeons like dungeons where bosses are much more important, so Toldagor, I guess to an extent Shrine. There's a few dungeons, I'm not going to go over it right now, but in general pretty much, yep, that's pretty much it. In terms of my gear, I'm 437 item level, I'm using a 430 Butcher's block. I am going to use my pocket size computation device here, and I'm pretty much haste mastery, haste verse kind of vibe. 63% mastery, which is not too bad. I have a lot of sockets in my gear, guys, and a lot of this isn't benthic. This is just my luck, and I am still working on getting much better Azurite pieces for M+, but that will come with time. So yep, those are my talents. Essences, I am going to run the raid essence, because I think in Kings on Tyrannical there's a lot of priority damage that you need on bosses, for example, as an example, and there's some mobs on the way, like Shadow Azul, you want to have your raid essence up for there. I go over it in depth in the video, but I do think that Iris is just not useful, because we're not going to be going like really big pulls on the mobs. We can't chain pull mobs in the first room, so single target, like literally full on single target, is the way to go, to be honest. And I just don't think Iris, any other week where bursting isn't involved, I think Iris would be fine in King's Rest, but just not this week, because you can't just burst everything at once. So without further ado, let's get straight into the video, guys. Alright, so 15 Kings, not the hardest. It's probably up there with like the top 4, I guess, of the 15s to do, but if you take it nice and steady, then it's not too bad. So because it's bursting, we can't just go in there and belf all the little shadows. You have to do them individually or slowly. So we had that DH like purge them slowly and whatnot. Now I am running Raid Essence because there are a lot of priority ads or bosses that need to die quick, and I just thought that Iris wouldn't be the play here, because it's bursting, so you can't pull the entire room on the second boss, so Iris is useless there. And I mean, there's no 2-target cleave really except for last boss, which isn't even that important, so I just decided to go Raid Essence here. But on normal weeks where you do King's Rest, normally you could probably go Iris, honestly. But yeah, like I said, pretty much full single target here with Infected Claws instead of Bursting Swords. So skipping up to here, now we've hit the gong and we're pulling this first mobs here. So the Shadowborn Warriors spawn tornadoes that spin around. Try and dodge them, unlike me, because they put a mean dot on you that will do magical damage to you. And it's the same mechanic as the last boss. Again, minion of Zuls, we have to pull them slowly. Now as they're going to come through here, the tank's going to pull them so they aggro towards us, and then I'm just going to try and slow them down and stop them. Our DH can individually purge them, or we can DPS them down. So I get feared, but luckily I don't get feared into the mob, so that's quite lucky. Alright, so as a DK, Emissary Tides is something that you can literally take advantage of. We weren't in comms for this, so normally what I would do is I would grip out the Emissary Tides and we'd nuke it, so that it's further enough away from the Witch Doctor so that you can kill the Witch Doctor. Sorry, you can interrupt the Witch Doctor, so that's the play there. We all save our Cyclotronics and we nuke the Witch Doctor pretty much. I am on comms with the DH, so yeah, so that's one good thing. So him and I can like prioritize damage, which is good. So yeah, Witch Doctors need to be kicked. The volley needs to be kicked at all costs. Very, very important. Okay. So now you want to start being careful about which cooldowns you use. You can still use Dark Transformation and Frenzy on the second last pack here. They will be up for boss, but don't use your Raid Essence. So this is the sad thing about using your Raid Essence as your essence of choice. You have to be very careful about how you use it, otherwise it will not be up for boss, and you need it to be up for the opening, for your opener, because it will affect your overall haste and just damage increase. So it's important. This one we Loz pull around here, which is fine, and the healer's going to take care of the enchanted emissary. You want to nuke the witch doctor here, and do not use any cooldowns here because it will not be up for the boss. Okay, so here we're just trying to get kicks onto the witch doctor and doing damage. We have 2 druids, so they can soothe the enrage effect on the champion. If you don't soothe him, he hits really hard. Since we have a frost mage, our druid's able to actually drop his necrotic stack, so that's very, very helpful. So yeah, nice and easy there. So now we're going on to the boss. Now, a very important thing that we can do here as DKs is that we can AMS the spit. Now, he will have about 2 seconds to react. Watch the frame here. He targets the DH with the first one. Before it hits you, AMS, and you will not receive the spit dot, which is incredibly good for the group as a whole. Your healer will love you, and it's more uptime for you on the boss. So here I'm pumping, we're at like 98k burst. Not too bad considering I haven't got or will serve. So in Lust, this boss will drop down to like 50%. So out of the gate, Lust, the boss is 50%, which is pretty insane. I think I do get the spit gold 2 times in a row here, and I unfortunately can't negate the second spit because it was right after the first one. I wasn't watching, but I think yeah, we pretty much average out on 40k DPS from memory, or somewhere around there. So our single target DPS is very good in this group. We've got a DH, that's amazing, and we've got a Frost Mage, which is also pretty strong because he's running Glacial Spike. So here the add spawn, you can kill them, but the Frost Mage pretty much just micros it himself. Now there, I should have AMS'd it, but I wasn't watching the spit gold mechanics, so a lot of downtime for me, but not too bad. Yeah, and he's pretty much going to go down here. The tank just makes sure that he keeps them away from the adds, and you're pretty much set to go on here to the next gauntlet room. Pretty easy boss after the nerf, especially on only a 15, so 15 Tyrannical isn't too bad. I think like 19, 20 Tyrannical, that spit is going to really hurt. But yeah, we're not there yet, so... Alright, in the gauntlet, King Rahulai, as he casts his channel for the little lightning effect that he does, only when the channel lightning starts to actually activate is when you can grip it as a Death Knight, and it will stop the effect immediately. Druids can knock it back, Disc Priest can knock it back. Yeah, knockbacks work against it, so that is something that you can do as a Death Knight to help your friends, your melee friends. Next one, Queen Patla. So her Raptor, when it jumps and starts channeling its claw ability, you can grip it, and that will negate the claw ability effect. It will stop the channel straight away. Very, very helpful to just stop the unnecessary damage on your group. King Akul here, just pretty much nuke everything down here, and our DH had meta for this, so this pack is going to get nuked very, very fast. Very, very nice. So yeah, damage overall is really good. We've got good cleave damage and good single target priority damage with our Cyclos. So if there's any mob that needs to die, the DH and I will communicate when to use our Cyclos, and that mob will die very, very quickly, which is great. So our Guardian tank drops off his Necro stacks, and we're on to the final one, which is Queen Wazi and King Kim Tamanji. We'll call him King Tamanji. Pretty much you want to focus on the Queen because of her bolts damage, depending on what tank you have, but most tanks have pretty bad magical mitigation, so yeah, kicks on that, and then deal with Tamanji. He'll randomly focus a person with his Blade Storm, just run away from it, and kill him. Pretty straightforward. Now after this is a Void Emissary right here, which is so awkward. Now remember, with Void Emissaries you can AMS just before the Queen's Decree goes off, and you will not receive the stack. In most circumstances you should kill them in 2 or maybe even 1 cast. There, I actually don't line it very well, that's pretty sad. And yeah, so that's Void Emissaries for you. Purification Constructs, little tip, when he does the beam, the Purification Strikes obviously run out of. If he does the beam, run through his strikes. It's not worth getting the beam dot on you, because on Fortify that will almost kill you, so very, very important to dodge the beam at all costs, guys. So this is the next room I was talking about. We can't pull the whole room. We would totally pull this whole room if there wasn't bursting, but you can't, so gotta be careful. And Necro, of course, on the tank, so pulling it in sections here, so we're gonna be careful here. Now this is the most important thing, how we stop doing damage when the stacks get high. So I AMS just before bursting goes off, because you negate all bursting stacks. That's the amazing thing about DK on bursting weeks. We can just avoid all bursting stacks, but unfortunately we got a 5 stack and we have to slow it down a little bit. So the group was aware that if 5 stacks is out, stop damage and let the stacks roll off and then restart again. So many pugs don't do that. They're just like, yeah, pew pew pew, do damage, and they don't give a shit about actual stopping damage and respecting bursting. Like, watch, everyone stopped. Bursting pretty much drops off on 3 stacks here, and then we go off and finish the mob. If they went to 5 stacks, then like, oof, that would hurt. So here we pull the 2 constructs together. This will work if you pull them to one side. If you pull them into the middle of the room, then you're screwed. So just more people will go into the tombs, but it's always the tomb closest. So very, very easy. Yeah, it's just a good way to fasten up the process of doing these mobs, because that's what you want to do, right? You want to cut off time. So just nuking. Don't use anything here, save it for boss. Lust conveniently is going to be up for this boss again, so that's great. And yeah, we're going to use Lust on this boss and pump it. So right now, so far, we're in pretty good time. So yeah, we're in a pretty good spot. So Machimba the Embalmer, overall pretty straightforward boss. A little bit melee DPS unfriendly, but not too bad. So army, cyclo at 2 seconds, and then I pre-pot, and then we're going to pump this dude. So I accidentally forget to raid essence there. I raid essence a bit late. That was my bad. Got distracted. But we're still going to do a lot of damage. So like, watch again. So the drain fluid mechanic, I don't think I get targeted by it once. Or maybe I do. But if he targets you with it, AMS, it is magical damage. On a 15 Tyrannical, your AMS will soak about 2 ticks of the drain, and there's about 4 or 5 in total. So that's pretty good. So, and now unfortunately it leaves a slow dot on you, and then if you get hit by the flames that he puts down, you're gonna die. So you need to have something up in case you get hit by the flame. Now on a 15 Tyrant, I believe it will, 1 tick of the flame will do 80% of your HP. So that's something you have to be very careful of. And it's just amazing when it goes onto the range, because you can just keep mongoing the boss. So here I get fluids and I AMS it, and then yeah, after 2 ticks the AMS is gone. I'm slowed here, and luckily we don't get a flame. So pumping DPS 44k right now. I think we finish it again on around about 41k, which is great. Unholy is just so good for these little short fights where you have army, you have lust. The boss is going to die very, very quickly. That's the good thing about Unholy here. So I use Cyclo, and down he goes. 40k DPS. Good stuff. So this next part is very dangerous. Reason being is that there's going to be an emissary, which you don't see until the mob spawns. And unfortunately, it's an emissary of the tides. Now, that means that we can't kick the Hex Priest's spectral bolts, and our tank just takes too much damage, and he's going to go down here, unfortunately. But we do live, which is good. And that's the good thing about this, I guess. We don't wipe, and we just kill the Berserker here. Now, as a DK, if you need to on Fort Weeks, you can take control of the Berserkers, because, let's be honest, Fort Berserkers do so much damage with their bleeds. The bleed effect is disgusting, and it does so much damage, and not many classes have physical mitigation. Not many tanks, sorry. Now, one thing we can do as Death Knight is place our pet on top of the mob, so that when it swings to the bleed effect, it actually applies the bleed on our pet. Now that will require some micromanaging, but your tank might love you for the rest of your life if you do that. So yeah. Now our tank is very careful. He doesn't want to pull too much, which is it was quite trivial for me and my friend, because we're used to pulling this in sections. But he rooted one and then pulled the next one, so one at a time. Bit of a time waster. I think if we pushed this really hard, we possibly could have 2-chested. Here he does a good job of not pulling the void, or not triggering the void to start doing his AoE damage. So we're going on the Beastmaster here. Now the Beastmaster has 2 mechanics. One being the Poison Barrage, which you need to face away from the group so that no one gets hit by it. You can AMS before it goes off so that you don't get the poison effect on you. And the second is Deadeye. Now, Deadeye is dangerous because it can shoot you like 20 yards away. Now, on the bridge, that is very, very important to not be Dead-Eyed. And if you are being targeted by Deadeye, you can stun it twice with Asphyxia and Pet Stun, or you can just negate the entire effect by pressing Death's Advance just before it goes off. So that's the play there. Now there was an awkward moment where the Spectral Brute was coming as we were on the Void Emissary, and now the Void only got 1 cast off, which is really good. So that was very lucky. You don't want to overlap those 2. So be very careful when you're doing the Void Emissary in regards to when the Spectral Brute is coming. So yeah. This next part, just making sure that we kick the spectral bolts on the Hex Priest and prioritize damage onto the Berserker afterwards. So bolts is really important because, yeah, you know what, tanks magical mitigation isn't the best. Always killing the healing tides and just popping our damage here. That's the most important thing. So as I said before, we're on track to chest this. If we push this harder and didn't pull as small, but that's the thing though, like we have to. With the comp that we have, not many people have ways to negate the bursting stacks. We can't pull big, unfortunately. So yeah, this group is the Beastmaster pack. Now a lot of people, if they aren't aware of the Deadeye shot, they'll fly off the bridge here. So now, Poison Barrage goes onto the mage, he pulls it away to the side, it only goes onto him, and I believe he actually just blocked it so he didn't get the poison effect. So mage is very aware of what is going on. Same with me, I get Poison Barrage, we actually kill it before it goes off, but I had pointed it away from the group, which is what you're supposed to do. Now this pack we're just going to avoid, we're going to actually invis-pot this whole pack and the 2 Berserkers after it. So invising here, our Druid even freaking Stampeding Roars. Congrats to him, what a legend. We go down here and we start the boss. We would be using Lust on the Axe mini-boss. So the first one is Zanzel the Wise, which is the totem boss. Next up is Axe. Now I know it's Axe because I've done this on like a lower key this week, so I know the order. It is kind of annoying if you don't have Lust here available if the Axe Boy is first, but you never know. So don't pop Raid Essence on Zanzel the Wise. Save it for Axe Boy. You want to just save everything for Axe Boy. I'm not even joking. You can use your Cyclotronic because it will be up in time for Axe Boy, but otherwise just don't. Explosive only goes off here, and my DH friend was like trolling me and saying that, yeah, I'll get it, and then he got to it just the last second and he got it, so that's good. Now, in regards to the Poison Nova, because we're not in comms, I can't really tell people to not kick it. You want to only kick Poison Nova at the very end of the cast, because kicking Poison Nova pretty much triggers him to start spawning the totems. So if you're kicking it early on, that's just wasted time where you could be doing free damage and the totems aren't up. So we pretty much kill him on Tyrannical in 2 sets of totems. I believe in Fort you could probably do it in 1, depending on what cooldowns you pop here. But I pretty much prioritize Earthen Wall after Explosive so we can keep doing damage to the boss. So my friend here kicks the Poison Nova like a troll he is, and we're pretty much going to kill him before the totems spawn again, which is the play. So now a bit of downtime and we're on to Axe Boss. Now, Axe Boss, you just literally have to play it safe, guys. Be smart, unlike me here. I use Cyclotronic when I could have been doing other stuff. When the axe goes down on the ground, run out and use Cyclotronic on the downtime that you haven't got up on the boss when you're not in melee range. He throws out an axe, and the throwing axe dot is very hardcore. Your healer needs to literally spot heal you. You will need to use defensives if you get hit by it. But don't be afraid to death strike a little bit as well. Like, help your healer out, and then just don't get hit by axes. We completely nuke this butcher down. He's gone. Army of the Dead Lust is just absurd damage. I'm literally pumping like 800k damage to him in my army alone. So yeah, now we're just on Akali the Conqueror, and this is pretty straightforward. So 3 things we have to watch out for: Axe, making sure that we stand in range of the person who's being charged, so that we all soak it, and then the next thing to worry about is the Poison Novas that will randomly spawn. So, an unfortunate circumstance happens here. Our DH gets targeted with the charge, and an axe comes by, and the axe is somewhat near the edge, so no one wanted to get hit by the axe here. Watch. So we try to stand in it. I guess I don't stand. I troll him, and he dies. It was pretty funny at the time, but he wasn't laughing, so guess it's not funny. But we raised him up, and yeah, a bit of a mistake on everyone's part for not standing on top of that one. My fault as well. I should have depth advanced and then took the axe dot and then stood in it for him, but I'm a troll, so yeah, that's my bad. Now, because the fight was so long, our pot is already back up in order to invis, so we invised out to Shadow Azul. So you invis in, invis out. This is basically the play that you do if you don't have a rogue. Screw rogues, right? We have invis pots now. Now, for Shadow Azul, even on Tyrannical, especially on Fort, you need to pop everything you freaking have in your arsenal. It's okay to do this because you only need your cooldowns for priority damage when the second raptor spawns on this last boss. The first raptor isn't that much of a danger. It's the second raptor where you need to kill him ASAP because of the fear. So I pop Raid Essence, I pop Cyclo, I pop everything, and we nuke that Shadow Azul down. On Fort Weeks, I would honestly lust him. screw it. Like, don't fuck around with that guy. He is hardcore. So, King Dazar. I do a pretty good job this time round on dodging his cyclones. So the clones Gale Slash, I guess, he'll face someone and he will shoot a clone out. If you get hit by the clone, it puts a 9 to 10 second dot on you that is magical damage, and it pumps. And it's unnecessary healing that your healer needs to be doing. Your healer wants to be focusing healing on your tank for the blade combos. You don't want to be wasting healing on that. So Raban spawns. Now again, like all raptors, when he channels his like claw ability, grip it. Grip it straight up and it will negate the effect and you can just damage him. So again, we have priority damage on him straight away. I dodged. That was a sick freaking sidestep, by the way, on that Gale. And got hit by one there though. And now we're back onto King Dazar. If you do get hit by the Gale, you can AMS. It's the only damage in this fight that you can pretty much AMS. So yeah, there's that. Here comes Tazali now. Now, I saved my Cyclo the entire fight for Tazali, and I have Raid Essence in 6 seconds. So this Raptor is about to get destroyed. I believe our DH had meta up for it as well, so everything is going really great, and down he goes within like, what, 20 seconds of spawning. So, yeah, I have army in a minute, so that's pretty much like my execute, and we're just focusing on doing damage, dodging the Gales, great dodge there again, dodging the Gales, and then pumping the boss. And then eventually dodging spears, but we'll get to that now. So the Druid, our Guardian tank, even I think at the very start of or beginning of the key, told the rest of the Druid how he wants to do the blade combos. I think he wants to bark skin the ones that he got feared on, and for other ones, you know, just Guardian Druid mitigation. But I've never seen a Guardian Druid do this well. I don't really see Guardian Druid. You don't hear about it. It's always Prot Warrior. But this guy had a good idea how to mitigate damage with his cooldowns, so that was quite impressive. Army is up here at 17% on the boss. We get a Darkness down for that blade combo. That was really good. All these little things that just help out the run. Now, I believe at this point we're missing a 2-chest by like about 2 minutes, so there's definitely room to improve there for 2-chesting it, but King's not that bad of a key. And there we have it. I got my Battle for Azeroth Keystone Master, which is doing a 15 in time for every dungeon in that we have, and there you have it. So I finished at 35k overall, almost beat the DH. I'm just not going to beat a DH when we can't pull those big mobs together. It was pretty much all single target, and I think that the setup that I ran was alright. So I ran Raid Essence and then Lucid Dreams Miner. So there you have it, guys. Thank you very much for watching. The Freehold M Plus guide received quite a lot of views, which is good. A lot of you liked it, so if you like this one as well, please give it a thumbs up. Follow me on social media at MFWest WoW on Facebook and Twitter, and honestly, stay unholy. Have a good one, guys. Peace.